Let me thank all the distinguished audience representing various walks of life, from politics to economy to academics. And I would like to thank the EU Chamber for organizing this wonderful presentation today, and particularly to Michelle for inviting me to speak on this occasion. And before I start, I would like to mention that I'm speaking this in my personal capacity and not as representing government of India. So now let us start, but we should understand what do we mean by development first. So I want to define what do we mean by development. Adam Smith was one of the economists who started this concept called wealth of nations. And then the whole concept of GDP came from there. Then we had the Industrial Revolution, large scale production, machines were created and small industries were considered very inefficient and not very productive, not very innovative. So we got this concept called gross domestic product, which we were just talking about it. So the whole process of development today is measured in terms of gross domestic product. You read any newspaper, you read Economist, you read Financial Times, you read Wall Street Journal, everywhere there will be statistics of GDP growth in every country, every quarter, every organization even measures the growth in terms of GDP. And then you percolate down it to the population, you call it per capita income, dividing the population with the GDP divided by the population. So every country is aspiring to have more GDP and more per capita income. That's the race we are in. Now that race means that we have to have more production and more consumption. It's a very simple answer. Because without more production, more consumption, you cannot have more GDP. And the quality of production and the quality of consumption is immaterial in terms of GDP calculation. Because if you produce arms of $10 billion, that means 10 billion GDP. If you produce milk of $200 million, that means 200 million worth of GDP. So if the GDP is blind to the quality of production, whether you produce drugs, whether you produce arms, whether you produce alcohol, whether you produce milk, they are all equal in terms of GDP. Then this also means that we have to consume more and more natural resources. We have to exploit the Mother Earth, a lot of minerals we need. We have to cut a lot of trees. We need a lot of river water. We have to take a lot of water from lakes. And we have to also use a lot of fresh air to continue our production. So these are the requirements of higher GDP which we are following. Now, as a result of this process, there are many things which have happened. One is that the large scale production units have come up. Because the small scale production units are no more competitive. They cannot sustain themselves in the market. Their financial capability, their marketing capability do not allow that to happen. And the second one is that these new innovations are taking place one after another. The innovations, this big mad race for innovations, because you have to be competitive in the market. So every company comes out with innovations, with new marketing strategies, with new kinds of very attractive advertisements. All of these things are in the process. As a result, we are also having great urbanization because rural industries are being destroyed. They cannot sustain migrating to big cities. And then we have, of course, slums in the city. I will talk about that a little later. But this is what we understand by development today. I think by and large, this is what we understand. UNDP has come out with a new index called Human Development, but they have just made some marginal changes in that in terms of education and in terms of health requirement. But by and large, 90% of that concept still depends on gross per capita income or gross domestic income. Now the question is that this kind of model, where we are striving for more consumption every day, more production every day, more resources from the nature, and if so, for how long? Now this is what the question is. Now let us see what is the environment. What do you mean by environment? According to ancient Indian writings, the environment consists of 5 elements, okay? And they are in this order. The space, which is available. Without space, nothing can exist in this universe. If we are here, it's only because of space. The second is the air. All airs, whether it is carbon dioxide or oxygen or helium, any other air, they are all constituting the second part of environment, that is air. The third part is the fire. Now, fire is the sun is the visible symbol of fire, but fire means basically energy. All energy which exists in the universe is the fire. The fourth element of environment is water, which we know, and the water cycle, how the water converts into air vapor and clouds and travels millions of kilometers and then again comes back in terms of snow and rain and then refills our rivers and lakes and the groundwater and all that. And the fifth element is Mother Earth with all its mineral resources and plants and vegetables. So this is the definition of environment. I think everything which consists in this universe is made of these 5 elements. Now, if we look at our own origin, how do we originate it? We originated from a drop of semen. Now, drop of semen comes from where? From the food we eat. That converts into semen. So our origin, our conception lies in food. And then we eat food every day, which converts into our body. It converts into flesh, blood, bones, and whatever we have to do. So the food becomes our body. Then we need water, we need fresh air. All this comes from where? From these 5 elements which I am talking about. The energy as well, the cosmic energy. So all these elements sustain us on day-to-day basis. They give us birth and then they sustain us on day-to-day basis. Body, the water becomes body, the air becomes body. Now, this concept that we have to coexist is not a right concept. It is our mother. It will exist whether we exist or not. There is no coexistence. It is our existence which is at stake, you see, not nature's existence. If everybody dies in this universe, nature will still survive. But if the nature dies, we cannot survive even for a day. So it is not a question of coexistence as they keep talking about. It is the question of existence of humanity. Now, actually we are connected with the nature in another way as well. That food is one element, but if you look at our 5 senses, why do we have 5 senses? Why do we have only 5 fingers in our hands? There are reasons behind it, because each of our senses is connected to the nature directly. The sense of hearing is connected with space, the sense of touch is connected to air, the sense of sight is connected with fire, like when the sun goes down you can't see anything. The sense of taste is connected to water, and the sense of smell is connected to the earth. And this is the direct connection we have, each one of us has with the nature, Mother Nature. And plus, the breath we take connects us directly to the entire universe. As soon as we stop that breath, our body doesn't exist anymore. So we are directly connected to the Mother Nature. Now we have to see, since in the last 100 years, I think our exploitation of Mother Earth, Mother Nature, has been more than what has been in the last 5,000 years. It is a proven fact historically. So we have to see how much more we want to exploit the Mother Nature and how long we can sustain it. The consequences of development, let us also have a look at that. Today, as there was some of the previous speakers were talking about, because of this large scale production, big industrial units, urbanization, we have 1% population which owns 40% global assets today. 3 richest individuals in the world own more than the combined wealth of 48 nations. We were talking about Walmart, so this is also the fact. Then combined wealth of 10 million millionaires was 41 trillion in 2008. It could be much more today. And there is no actually shortage of wealth, because since in the last 60 years, the wealth of the nations has gone up at least by 200 times, while population has gone up not more than twice. Still, we have more poverty today than we had 50, 60 years ago, because of distributive injustice, as they call in economics. Now, employment is on the rise because machines are replacing people. Despite such a great increase in production, we have decreasing employment. Every time we have problem of unemployment everywhere, so many new jobs are needed. Then we have poverty, which is on increase, malnutrition is on increase, we have millions of tons of food which is wasted on the other hand. On the other hand, we have millions of people who are starving. You go to a five-star hotel, how much waste is done and how much people are living on the streets, you can see yourself. Now we have these urban slums. In 1800, only 3% world's population lived in the cities. Today it's over 55%. And you go and see cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, I'm sure Mexico City, I've seen some of them. You would be shocked to see those slums. The people are living in subhuman conditions in those places. And naturally they resort to crime, they are dehumanized, their children are not educated, there's no proper education. This is the result of development I'm talking about. And if you go to a big industrial unit, go to any big industrial unit, you will find the human being like you and me are working as robots in flesh and blood. They are only putting one thing like this 8 hours a day. What mental faculties can they have after that kind of work? So they want to go and drink after the work is over. So this is what we have created because of these large scale assembly line units which are everywhere in the world. So capacity of mind and thinking is decreasing gradually. Now we talk about economy, the climate change and ecosystem. I think these facts are known to all of you. How much damage has been done. Industrial activities of modern civilization has raised atmospheric carbon dioxide level from 280 ppm to 379 ppm in the last 150 years. And my predecessor, he was showing the photographs of pollution in his own country, how much pollution we have created because of so-called economic development. And we have spoiled rivers, we have spoiled lakes. I've seen many lakes completely dried up. Rivers have been turned into chemicals, and fertility of soil and quality of soil is decreasing slowly. Now these are the facts which I don't have to reiterate because all of you know all these facts about the climate change that is happening in the world. We are also having more health problem because of this development, because people are very much stressed. They need to replace cell phone every 6 months, car every 2 months, and this thing every 2 months because of this so-called marketing and innovation every 2 years. Then we have food and water. They no time to eat or drink. They have to go to a small little fast food place and eat and take a bite and take their breakfast and drive their car. So that kind of stress level and food habits. And we have these fast food, GM food, preservatives, which are everywhere in our life, which is posing a health hazard. In fact, these hazards will be realized by the humanity not now but a generation or two later, when you will not be even able to produce a child. Because the sperm count in many parts of the world have already gone down considerably. And you will have lost your immunity against many diseases afterwards. Now these are lifestyle changes, automation, addiction to alcoholism is increasing. If you go to a country more developed, you will find more alcoholism, more smoking, more antidepressant tablets and things like that. So chemical content in the body are increasing. I have constraint of time, so I won't proceed I will just proceed very fast. Now we are also having these social conflicts because of this disparity of income. Glaring disparity of wealth and income. You see that there is social unrest in many countries, and you have the intolerance and violence and even terrorism. So is this kind of thing is sustainable? We have to think ourselves, we have to ask these questions. Now, my question is one very simple. You are all economists. If there are 2 units producing X amount of output, one is using Y input, another is using Y minus 1 input, which is more efficient? The second one will be more efficient because it is needing less input to produce the same amount of output. This is the economic principle, everybody would agree to that. So, a person who consumes less from the nature, he is more enlightened than the person who is always greedy and looking for more and more and still not satisfied. This is the concept we have to evolve. We have to consume less. We have to live more simple lifestyle, more austere lifestyle, rather than having this mad race for desires which are infinite and which can never lead you to real happiness. This is the illusive happiness which we are following through this higher consumption and better products, and this is not going to lead us, it's going to lead us only to more stress, more diseases and more problems. So I would like to end this presentation saying that there is no harm in having more Gandhis and more Mother Teresa and more Mandelas. They have simple lifestyle. I think the earth would be much better off. They don't need a lot of people who are all the time mad after consumption and mad after more production. Now I would like to end this presentation with one Sanskrit sloka which reads like this. Ayam nij paroveti ganna lagu chetsam udar charita nam tu vasudeva kutumbakam. That this is mine, this is yours. This kind of thinking is for those who have very mean mentality. Udar charita nam, the people who have enlightened thinking, for them the entire mother Vasudeva Kutumbakam, entire earth is one single family. And this environmental disaster must make us feel that we are one single family. Because this is not going to escape us, or this is not going to provide us any escape irrespective of political boundaries or irrespective of any other boundaries. The disasters can happen anywhere, anytime, all of us will be affected. So thank you very much for your attention.